Vince McMahon has reportedly paid over $12 million over the last 16 years to suppress accusations of sexual misconduct and infidelity, a new report by the Wall Street Journal is claiming. I'm Ollie Davis. Welcome to the WrestleTalk news channel. This is a special breaking news edition because there's so much news these days. This is a follow-up, of course, to the Wall Street Journal's own report back on the 15th of June, about 3 weeks ago now, that broke the news Vince McMahon was being investigated by his own company. The board of directors had received a series of whistleblowing anonymous emails about Vince McMahon, allegedly. Well, not allegedly, this part. He's confirmed he paid $3 million to an ex-employee in exchange for her silence. Because they had in Vince McMahon's words via his attorney Jerry McDevitt, a consensual relationship. Consensual relationship with someone at work. He paid her money and then she left the company so she wouldn't talk about it. And then that came out by someone emailing the Wall Street Journal and the board of directors. So, of course, if you've not watched the WrestleTalk news channel before, please give us a subscribe. We've got daily wrestling news videos. Usually we cover the more benign side of wrestling, like silly creative plans and returns and what weird storyline is WWE going to do this week. And every now and again, crazy large, potentially business-shaking, industry-disruptive stories like this one. So let's get into the specifics here from the Wall Street Journal, who, again, are the same outlet that first broke those reports over 3 weeks ago. Reports that had a direct effect on WWE, because just the day after, Vince McMahon announced he was stepping down, or stepping back, as CEO of WWE. He would retain all other creative duties, so really the allegation, the reports backstage is that nothing much has changed, it's business as usual, and his daughter, who left the company, Stephanie McMahon, who the company then publicly buried on air. They said she wasn't very good at her job. Well, it was through a Business Insider article. They then brought her back to run the company. And the sort of theory is, the speculation is, she's just there as a figurehead. Vince McMahon is still pulling all the strings. So there's this investigation going on. There's about 3 or 4 different law firms that the board of directors has instructed to investigate Vince McMahon and any potential wrongdoing he's had while in charge of the company. The board of directors, it's important to note, is not it's made up of WWE people like Vince McMahon, Stephanie, Triple H, and Nick Khan, but the other half are business people from elsewhere, people from respective business backgrounds. They're maybe serving as chair people of other companies, or they are ex-business people who now just sit on the board. Those are the people who are running the investigation, or at least instructing the legal firms to do the investigation. So, I don't know if this is from this investigation or this is just more stuff that the Wall Street Journal has found out. But what they're claiming is that Vince McMahon paid 4 women over the last 16 years to stop them from discussing potential legal claims about their relationships with him. So this includes, because they've broken down the 4 cases that they know about, which includes the $3 million hush pact that started this all off. The one with the paralegal over the last year, 2 years, the one where she had a $100,000 salary in the legal department, and that went up to $200,000 around the time that this alleged affair was begun. And that's really the crux of the investigation, because a consensual relationship between 2 people, and then you pay that person to not talk about it, it's pretty gross. But it's not illegal. It's not something you can get fired from the company you own. However, using a company's money, which is publicly traded, improperly, that's serious. That could potentially lose Vince McMahon his job. That's kind of what the whole investigation is doing to find out, really. So let's go through these other pacts, the sort of hush pacts that were unreported. There was a $7.5 million one, which was actually with a former wrestler who alleged that McMahon coerced her into giving him oral sex and then demoted her, and ultimately declined to renew her contract in 2005 after she resisted further sexual encounters, according to people familiar with the matter. That wrestler and her attorney apparently approached Mr. McMahon in 2018, and that's when they settled on that payment. So pretty serious stuff, because while the paralegal one, the first allegation that came out, that was really seen as a consensual thing. But this one sort of alleges that there were direct ramifications on the person's job after the incidents. The other one was an agreement reached, a non-disclosure agreement reached in 2008. This was with a WWE contractor. Of course, all the identities are anonymized here. A WWE contractor presented the company with unsolicited nude photos of Mr. McMahon that she reported receiving from him, and alleged that he had sexually harassed her on the job. That was a 2008 non-disclosure agreement signed, and Mr. McMahon agreed to pay her roughly $1 million, the report claims. So that one is very interesting, because WWE would have been aware of that one. That one specifically says that the woman went to the company to say, this is what the boss of the company has sent me. He's sent me some nude photos. Which means WWE can't really play the ignorance game of, we didn't know this person was doing that. And then in a 2006 agreement, a former manager who had worked 10 years for Mr. McMahon before Mr. McMahon initiated, allegedly, a sexual relationship with her, was paid $1 million to keep quiet about it. So that one, there's not many details there, but it was just seems like a consensual sexual relationship that Mr. McMahon paid $1 million to not have her talk about it. And then there's the $3 million one that came out a couple of weeks ago. So 4 in total. Those are all over 12 years ago. If you look at the timeline, that's 2005, 2006, and 2008 were the incidents, although that $7.5 million one with the former wrestler, that was only settled in 2018. So, yeah, it's not looking good for, if the investigation, you would hope, would find no more wrongdoing. This was an isolated case. But what we've got here is at least 3 other cases, bringing the total to 4. The companies, it depends on the company how these relationships are sort of dealt with. A lot of companies say superiors should not have any relationships with the people underneath them. Famous example from McDonald's recently, where the CEO lost his job because he had a consensual relationship with someone beneath him, one of his direct reports. But others, as you can see with Elon Musk, who had a relationship and had twins last year with her, that's fine, apparently. Because in Tesla, there are no rules against that. Usually you would then move that person away from being a direct report, so you wouldn't have any awkward conflicts of interest, romantic involvement. You want to keep everything professional. But that's, it all depends by the company. But when you get into payouts, cover-ups, non-disclosure agreements, and allegations of sexual misconduct, that's when it gets really murky. So how will Vince McMahon react to this. Probably not great, as we saw the last time. The last one had him come out on SmackDown and Raw and essentially go, we're all in this together, right? You're on my side. And to play up to his ego, the live crowd cheered him massively. He didn't really, at least in kayfabe, there doesn't seem to have been that acknowledgement of the seriousness of the situation. So will we see him appear on SmackDown tonight? Will we get a tweet coming out in a few hours' time where Vince McMahon will speak on SmackDown and really he'll just, say a catchphrase again? A way to pop a rating, a way to continue the interest in WWE that it's experiencing right now. I would advise against that. I think this is where you should step away while you're being investigated and really let the investigation do its job. But yes, it is an existential threat to the company that has only just become more complicated. Please subscribe to WrestleTalk. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I'll be answering as many as I can, not everyone. I bet there's going to be loads of comments to this one. But please, yes, subscribe to WrestleTalk. Enable notifications to always on, because we are constantly making wrestling news videos that keep you up to date with stuff like this. Jam that jam.